signed for and on behalf of TCIG, and we would like to see where or who that signature is, or whose signature is it that is signed on behalf of TCIG, because the charge clearly shows that is in favor of InterHealth Canada. And so this shows that InterHealth Canada, if it has the power to sign on behalf of TCIG, then they are acting as agent for TCIG in this transaction.
And the security trustees. Also, because the land that the charge is on is Crown land, the governor had to give a consent to the charge, and the governor did so. He said, I, Richard Tafari, Governor of the Turks and Caicos Islands, acting in the name of and on behalf of Her Most Excellent Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of the Turks and Caicos Islands, and of all other realms and territories, hereby consent to the registration of the attached charge in favor of First Caribbean International Bank Limited of Providenciales, Turks and Caicos Islands, as security trustee for the finance party as defined in the collateral charge, dated the same date of this consent, on the title numbers 607 and 689, 1, Jackson Hall and Richmond Hill, Providenciales, and 1 and 204, 28, 1, and 1 and 204, 229, 1, Northwest above Brentford, and each of which the Crown has an interest as lessor. That is the facts of the matter as they pertain to the charge that indicated that some people were indicating that persons otherwise were getting $110 million to put in their pocket.
As the statement that I read earlier clearly says, we never said that. We simply asked, where is the money? With the hospital developer or with the government? The people would like to know. The most pressing question, I think the public and Turks and Caicos Islanders who wish this country well would have is, why $235 million? This number should not have just been arbitrarily picked out of the air as the press release from the Minister of Finance seems to suggest. There has to be some rationale for $235 million. If there is no rationale for $235 million, then it could simply be any amount greater than what the loan is. It could be $300 million, or $400 million, or $500 million, or $600 million. And what people should know is that these millions of dollars that we're simply throwing around, you, some way or the other, will have to repay it, either through the use of these facilities or through some form of taxation. So we must not get carried away with the big numbers of 235 or 300 or 600 or 100 or 75 million. Every dollar that the government spends, they should get value for money, and they should be responsible enough to come to the people and give an account for every single dollar. Let's not lose sight. This is millions of dollars. We've already lost $1 million in the difference between their calculations of 125 or 124. But there is a reason for 235 million, and we need that reason to be properly explained to the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands. I will now pass to the former Minister of Health, Honorable Mr. Clarence Selva, who will dissect and respond to the current Minister of Health's comments in relation to this matter.
Thank you, Honorable Robinson. And it is most unfortunate and regrettable that members of the People's Democratic Movement would seek to give the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands the impression that there is something illegal or improper about the loan which the
Honorable Boyce raised the question about illegality. We in the People's Democratic Movement would not go as far as saying that it is illegal for a government to borrow. But in the Turks and Caicos Islands, we have strict borrowing guidelines that we have agreed with the British government. And those guidelines calls for the Turks and Caicos Islands government to have a reserve in place. And when we look at what the present situation is, we should, if we're going to borrow an additional $235 million, in addition to the some $95 or so million that the government now have on their books, we should need a reserve somewhere in the region of about $43 million in order to qualify. Is the borrowing illegal? If we go by the guidelines, then it looks as if they are in breach of the guidelines, the borrowing guidelines. And that is as much as I would want to say at this time.
recently acquired to build new hospitals in Grand Turk and in Providenciales. The simple fact of the matter is that the total cost of the hospitals is $124 million. But when what is known as a charge on the property is combined, it would be registered for $235 million. You have already heard Honorable Robinson read the document and delivered the speech from the Minister of Finance. And
I would just like to comment on Dr. Boyce's assertion of the amount being $124 million. We have been given all sorts of numbers, and it is not the fault of the general public or the fault of the People's Democratic Movement if the figures we quote are the figures that we have seen issued by the government. For instance, we have all sorts of conflicting reports. The weekly news carried the headlines, hospital deal gets go ahead. And it reads, the official groundbreaking ceremonies for $100 million world-class hospital took place in September of last year. $100 million. In the Sun, $125 million hospital deal signed. When the question was put to the Minister of Finance in the House and was asked, how much money are we borrowing for the hospitals? And Honorable Parnell just showed you from the loan document that the authorized amount was $113 million. But of course that was never disclosed. Now last week Friday, we are being told that the amount is $124 million. In the document that Honorable Robinson referred to, that was written by Mark Young, referring to the same amount that has been borrowed, it is $123,620,000.